This is Twit.
Oh my goodness. NZXT H510 Elite case reviewed. This is, I am fascinated. It reminds me of the headlights on certain models of cars where there's just LED rings.
Yeah.
It looks stylish. If you're watching the video right now, you should just go to pcper.com and search for the NZXT H510 Elite case review. This is an interesting design, right? It's got a solid white base, and above that, it has lots of glass. And it's not outrageously expensive. It's not cheap. It's $170. But it looks really stylish, and it looks smaller than I think it looks smaller than it actually is, or maybe it's bigger than it looks in the photos. Is it? I don't know. I mean, I got to say, it's got this really interesting combination of minimalism and giant glass windows. And as people who've been listening to this show for far too long know, I am so over the glass windows, but this is kind of stylish. This is an interesting design to me.
Yeah. It's all about
easy to build with
too.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's easy to, it's easy to build. And if you've built in any of the NZXT cases in the last few years, I think the first one like this that I built in was the S340. And then this is very similar to the H500 series from last year. Mm-hmm. This is the refresh, H510. And they also have an H710 and 710i. And the difference between a lot of these cases from NZXT isn't so much the layout. It's
right.
Whether or not they include their RGB fans, whether or not they have their smart controller. And this is the second generation of that controller that's in this. And it basically lets you interface with it from an available USB header on the motherboard, and then their IQ. Is it IQ? I'm thinking of Corsair. This is their CAM software that lets you go in and do everything. Like you can tweak there's 8 lighting zones per fan. There's a separate lighting strip in this Elite case, and you can synchronize color with whatever you have on your motherboard as well if you choose to use one of those motherboard headers. But the software lets you change all the profiles, the fan speeds. And so it has a lot of convenience sort of control features, and even some stuff like system-wide overclocking and other things you can do. But looking at it just as an enclosure, like you said, it's like a quarter of it is metal. It's like a steel, and then the top 2/3 to 3/4 are all glass, at least on two sides. It's a solid glass front panel, solid glass side panel. And with cases like this, ventilation is at a premium. You go for either the appearance or the functionality. And on this one, the only air intake for the front is on the rear side panel, and it's a strip that's less than 2 inches wide. So if that's enough air intake for your build, then you won't be thermally constrained. I put in a fairly high-end build in this machine. It was my GPU testbed system actually put into this. So it was a high-end Core i7 processor, and I used an RTX 2070, an Asus Strix card. So not a low-end GPU by any means. And there was enough ventilation, especially because of an exhaust at the top and a large exhaust at the rear, 140 millimeter fan installed on that. There was enough air moving out of the back of the case to keep things from getting too toasty. I never came anywhere near thermal limits on anything, but certainly the temps are nowhere near what they would be with a high airflow case. You're just never going to get those low temps when you have, even with this case, which comes with 2 nice RGB 140 millimeter fans on the front. There's 1.25 inches away a solid thick piece of tempered glass, and only a ventilation port on one side. So it's the debate about this since I posted this review, and actually in the last year or two, when we've seen so many tempered glass and RGB everything designs, is that you're choosing aesthetics over functionality. If a case has an open front panel and mesh with some sort of a screen filter, that's all you need. And you can run, and you don't really have to worry about noise levels because you can run lower speed fans inside the case, and your GPU fans might not even accelerate as much because that RPM ramping up is because of largely with designs like this, ambient temperature matters quite a bit. So that was kind of the end result of this. Like the conclusion of the review is that it's a very well realized for this type of case. And that's the thing. There's a caveat. Right. Like, do you want your whole enclosure surrounded by tempered glass? You're going to sacrifice airflow. And if you're purely,
because it's hard to move air through solid glass.
Yes. I mean, and if you put too many holes in glass, it's not going to be very strong anymore. So I don't think I've seen that yet. Like, I immediately think of a horror story where years ago when I worked in retail and we had TVs to put on display, somebody actually thought it was a good idea, and I was not around for this, to drill directly down into the base of a TV that had a tempered glass base because they had to attach them to the shelves. And of course, the thing exploded into a million pieces, and they dropped the TV. So you don't want to do that to glass. And this case, very, very, very well made. Like the way the glass panel attaches was clever. It has like Lian Li style clips on it, and you're going to be happy if you like tempered glass. You're not going to be happy if you're after the ultimate low temps, because the temps inside of this are going to run like 5-10 degrees higher than they would in a case with better airflow.